Is the stage being set? Will the big one hit California? Trillions of gallons of rain have already fallen on the state of California with the atmospheric river that's been over there, and more rain continues to fall. As I write this article, the writer says, billions of dollars in damage have already been done, but an even bigger concern is what all that water could mean for Southern California's fault lines, as we know they're going to start moving because of this. As you'll see, geophysicists have discovered that the added stress that floods put on faults can help trigger earthquakes. Of course, we've been warned for years that the big one is long overdue in Southern California, and when it finally happens, it will be a disaster unlike anything we've ever seen before. Water is very heavy. If you doubt it, just try carrying a few gallons of water with you for a while. Now, trillions of gallons of rain have poured into California, and all that added weight will put additional stresses on the fault lines in the southern part of the state. Several years ago, a team of geophysicists found that flooding helped trigger large earthquakes in Southern California at least 3 times in the past 2,000 years. Geophysicists have linked historical earthquakes on the southern part of California's famed San Andreas Fault to ancient flooding from the nearby Colorado River. The work has broad implications for understanding how floods or reservoirs relate to earthquakes, a topic that gained new importance in 2008 after a massive earthquake in China's Sichuan province had more than 80,000 victims. Some geologists have suggested that impoundment of water behind a newly built dam there helped precipitate the earthquake. And now, new work in Southern California shows that at least 3 times in the past 2,000 years, the weight of river water spreading across floodplains appears to have helped trigger earthquakes in the region. Geophysicist Daniel Brothers was one of the scientists who worked on this study, and he was very confident about what his team discovered. We found that earthquakes occurred about every 100 to 200 years, and they were associated with flooding, says Brothers. The Colorado River spills over, loads the crust, and then there's a rift. He says the team is very confident in its evidence for 3 flood-triggered earthquakes about magnitude 6 that occurred about 600 years ago, 1,100 years ago, and 1,200 to 1,900 years ago. He says sediments don't lie. With all that in mind, let's talk about what just happened in Southern California. Some of the rainfall totals we've seen so far are simply stunning. The highest total came at Cogswell Dam above Pasadena. National Weather Service NWS monitors at that location recorded 13.15 inches of rain in the past 72 hours. A little further south, Beverly Hills has seen 8.61 inches of rain, Culver City 7.71 inches, and downtown Los Angeles to the east has endured 8.13 inches. That means that in just 3 days, downtown Los Angeles has received more than half of its 30-year seasonal average of 14.25 inches. And the UCLA Weather Station is reported to have experienced a 1 in 1,000-year rainfall event. The 11.87 inches that fell in 24 hours at the UCLA Weather Station was a 1 in 1,000-year rainfall event, technically known as a 1,000-year recurrent interval event. According to meteorologist Jacob Fernstein, a 1 in 1,000-year rain event is a statistical way of expressing the probability of such a massive rainfall occurring in any given year on a given date, location, and according to NOAA. That sure is a lot of rain. Now, in total, it's been estimated that approximately 5.6 trillion gallons of rain fell on California in a 48-hour period. That's 2 days. 5.6 trillion gallons of rain. A rough estimate is that 5.6 trillion gallons of water have fallen across California in the past 2 days, according to Fox Weather meteorologist Greg Diamond. Of course, this is not the final number. More rain is stopped falling after that estimate, and is still raining in California as I write this article. What we're seeing is truly unprecedented, and all the water is going to put enormous pressure on the faults in Southern California, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But first, let me talk a little about the damage all this water has already done. In an article I published a few days ago, I predicted that this disaster would cause billions of dollars in damage to the state, and it looks like that's actually what happened. AccuWeather estimates preliminary total damage and economic losses from several storms and record rainfall in California this week to be between $9 billion and $11 billion. Right now, there are apocalyptic scenes all over Southern California. Flash floods, mudslides, and fallen trees have caused massive damage. Even if nothing else happens, this will be one of the costliest natural disasters we've seen in a long time. But what if the weight of all that water ignites the big one at some point, meaning the big earthquake that they're waiting for? It has been reported that when the big one hits, it could literally plunge large parts of California into the sea almost instantly. The big one may be overdue for hitting California, but scientists near Los Angeles have discovered a new danger to the region during a major earthquake. They claim that if a major earthquake hits the region, it could submerge large parts of California into the sea almost immediately. It could submerge large parts of California into the sea, immediately almost. The discovery was made after studying the Newport-Inglewood Fault, which has long been believed to be one of Southern California's danger zones. Many people seem to think that a part of the state could break off like a firecracker and fall into the Pacific Ocean, but it wouldn't work that way. According to Cal State Fullerton professor Matt Kirby, the land on the west side of the major fault line would suddenly drop as much as 3 feet, and this would allow the Pacific Ocean to rush in. Couldn't you imagine? The study showed that the land within California's major seismic faults could sink between 1.5 to 3 feet immediately. The last known major earthquake occurred on the San Andreas Fault in 1857. Seismologists estimate that the 800-mile-long San Andreas, which runs through most of the state, should see a major earthquake about every 150 years. Kirby said it's something that would happen relatively instantaneously. Probably today, if it happened, you'd see seawater rushing in. And as I've discussed in several books, scientists have repeatedly warned us that this will happen someday. It's just a matter of time. Will a disaster of this magnitude occur in 2024? Hopefully not, but I'll definitely be watching Southern California very closely now that all this rain has fallen. When it finally arrives, the big one should strike without warning, and those living right along the coast may have only moments before the Pacific Ocean starts rushing over them. And this is by Michael Snyder from The Most Important News. Please leave your comments, and thank you for your support. And this is by Michael Snyder. He says about the author, my name is Michael Snyder, extremely controversial new book entitled Chaos, available on paperback and for Kindle on Amazon. He's also written 7 other books that are available on Amazon, including End Times, 7-Year Apocalypse, Lost Prophecies of the Future America, The Beginning of the End, and Living a Life That Really Matters, Commissions Earned. When you purchase any of Michael's books, you help to support the work that he's doing. You can also get his articles by email as soon as he publishes them by subscribing to his Substack newsletter. Michael has published thousands of articles on Economic Collapse blog, End of the American Dream, Most Important News, and he always freely and happily allows others to republish his articles on their own websites. You can connect with Michael on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and sharing his articles on your own social media accounts is definitely a great help. These are such troubled times that people need hope. John 3:16 tells us about the hope that God has given us through Jesus Christ. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish but have everlasting life. If you have not already done so, we strongly urge you to invite Jesus Christ to be your Lord and Savior today. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support, and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.